The International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement have welcomed the entry into force today of the first instrument of international humanitarian law to include provisions to help address the catastrophic humanitarian consequences of using and testing nuclear weapons. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, TPNW, explicitly and unequivocally prohibits the use, threat of use, development, production, testing and stockpiling of nuclear weapons, and it obliges all state parties to not assist, encourage or induce anyone in any way to engage in any activity prohibited by the treaty. Nigeria became one of the first 50 states worldwide to ratify the treaty on the 6th of August 2020. It signed the treaty on 20 September 2017, joining the global ban on nuclear weapons, and then submitted its instrument of ratification in August 2020. Nigeria has been in the forefront of campaigning, promoting, sensitizing on the importance and necessity of banning nuclear weapons by encouraging other nations, especially African nations, to follow its lead. I'm now being joined on the news by Deputy Head of Delegation International Committee of the Red Cross in Nigeria, Leonard Blaze. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so in what ways will the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons improve the work of emergency response like Red Cross and Red Crescent?
Thank you. This treaty will alleviate the consequences of the use of nuclear weapons. It will prevent the devastating effects of such weapons. The use of nuclear weapons would cause mass destruction, such as hospital services that would be overwhelmed. We have seen how hospitals have been stretched in many countries by COVID-19, and we imagine how they would struggle to cope with many times more ill and injured all at once that would happen as a result of nuclear weapons and its use. The needs created by a nuclear detonation would render it any meaningful health response impossible. No health system, no government, no aid organisation is capable of adequately responding to the health and other assistance that is required if a nuclear blast were to happen.
All right, so with Nigeria's ratification of the treaty in September 2017, will you say there has been decline in the proliferation movement of nuclear weapons across West Africa?
Thank you. Luckily, there are no nuclear weapon states in Africa. The Pelindaba Treaty, which came into force in 2009, made Africa a nuclear-free zone. Nigeria has been at the forefront of campaigning for, promoting and sensitizing others on the importance and the necessity of banning nuclear weapons by encouraging other states, especially African nations, to follow its lead.
All right. Going forward, what do you expect from other African nations in regards to protection of emergency response teams?
African countries have already shown their wish to live without the fear of nuclear war. 7 countries are already a party to the treaty to prohibit nuclear weapons, and a number of others have signed it. African nations have been both advocates and supporters during the international negotiations for this treaty. All of this adds to the pressure for a total ban on these weapons. And it's really important that Africa, as a continent, has really been behind the movement towards banning nuclear weapons.
Thank you so much for talking to us, Leonard. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
All right then.